Hello, welcome everybody to episode 46. That's where we're at right now. And this is my first, I would say, NPR type episode. It's going to be very calm. It's a calm type of night. If I was my own parent, I'd be like, hey, keep it calm. Keep it calm. We have we're recording the podcast. Jack is asleep. My son, hello sleepers. And I made a little joke recently. And this is Dr. Teeth. Hello. These are all my accolades as a parent. I got a new mic, so I don't think I have to be on it and screaming. But this is a picture frame that my son drew. Please don't take a picture of it and then blow it up and try to sell it because his artwork is very valuable. I do think that. Not really, but no, I mean I did. So when he first started painting, he kind of quit recently because he said it's too messy. Which I'm just like, I see your life, painting is too messy. I see the way you eat. How do you eat? How do you do any? If painting is too messy, how, at least, the sprinklers came on. That's what time the sprinklers come on. If painting is too messy, then how do you do anything? Because I just don't want him to give up because I think he has a gift. When he first started painting, he like his very I kept all his very like literally the first time he put a paintbrush in paint and on paper that I did with him. He would pick a color and he would do a couple swipes, and I just thought it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant because he was like 2 or 3, and it was so inspired because everything at that age is just inspired because they don't know anything to make decisions otherwise. He just painted and it was just quick, and I thought it was beautiful. It was like one of those things where they used to see like a modern artist or whatever, or post are we postmodern now or new age? Where are we at? Who's the art history people? I um i think that I didn't my hair's a little messy. It's okay. It's all I'm just really close. I'm not close to the mic, but I'm close to the camera because it's like now that the mic is better, I guess. Can't be like, I don't know. We're figuring it out. But I'm just like, if you were to go to a museum and see like a painting that, like, the joke is like, oh, my kid could do that. That's the joke. Like, I feel like, and maybe this is the new parent of me at the time, where you're so confident, where you're like, my kid just did that. And it wasn't a lot of colors, and there wasn't a lot of statements involved, but it was just it was a couple of brushes, and it was really pretty, and I kept them. They might be a little wrinkled now because my organization technique isn't I haven't nailed it down yet. I have a friend of mine, a good friend, is does like a day home for kids, and which in Canada is a Canadian thing. Canada, and it was about like she talks to me about like how she does the things for her kids with bins and totes, and I'm so impressed. And I have zero totes. I got a lot of bins, but I feel like the bins are just there to take up more vertical space because otherwise it would just be all on the floor. Right now, the floor is it's not lava. The floor is toys. The floor is clothes. The floor is toys. I feel like maybe that's why we invented the floor is lava. Floor is lava. That's why we invented the floor is lava. It was just like, hey, we need to clean up this floor, so stop stepping on it so I can move some stuff. So yeah, that my floor is toys. My floor is dirty puzzle pieces. If you're not a parent, I get it, but you might have some puzzle pieces. If you have like a gym area, I recommend some puzzle pieces. Um, I've tried to clean them because I'm not a dirty person. I don't. I know I didn't take a shower yet today. But I did. I did yet. Well, it wasn't. It was yesterday, but it was like super early in the morning. It was like 6 a.m. So I don't. You can't smell me. I don't think anyway. So the whole thing is, here's the whole thing about the puzzle pieces. I love them because, for when Jack was younger, they protected his head, his face, his body. I could step a couple feet away, and if he tilted the wrong way, he just learned. He just was like a thump, but not like a thwack. And you don't want to hear that thwack if you have hardwood floors and kids, because kids sit there and then they just fall over, and you're like, well, I didn't see that coming. So you get the puzzle pieces, and it's great. But now he doesn't fall over anymore. He jumps over, he climbs on the couch and falls the other way, which is like, I've been very lenient with my couch rules because I feel like if you put it in his head that he's going to get hurt, then that's not a good way to live either. But then he gets hurt, and I'm like, well, I get why my parents did everything they did. That's where I'm at as a parent. Like, I understand all the things. And maybe it's because I spent a lot of time with him last week. If you follow the podcast, I was at my parents' house last Monday. That's when I record the podcast after my kid goes to sleep. And I didn't put him to sleep because I was away. I was away from the fires, and he was in Orange County with his mom. And that's the way it was. And I spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with my mom and dad. And it was like, I've given up. I haven't given up. I'm very happy with life. But like, I've given up seeing some free time away from being a dad and being like, oh, I'm going to get all this done. Because like, that's not realistic or fun. So I went into that being like, I don't know if I'm going to do anything different. I have all this time where I'm not going to be a dad or in an apartment where the floor is toys. And I'm not going to expect anything from myself. Like, I have a room in my parents' house, and I think every kid should who's an adult. Not at my parents', but at your own, like, no judging. If you have a big family, your parents move out of their normal house, you might not have it. But if they have the house and it was your room, and then like, we're going to turn this into a workout, it's just like, well, leave my stuff, that's my stuff. I don't know. I worked out in my room, and I also live there. So that's a judgment on the parents. I'm sure I'll have a different feeling. I don't know. I feel like kids are such a gift, right? That you should always have a place for them to come. And in that statement, the kid is me. So that's I'm pretty biased. And my parents have. My older brother didn't live in this house at all because we moved around a little bit, and he was already out on his own. My older brother went out on his own very early age, like 23, super early. And I was like closer to 30 when I had an apartment in LA with roommates, and I also kept all my stuff in Chicago. So like, we're just different, just different. And my younger brother, he was out early too. But my older brother doesn't feel like attached to that house at all because he doesn't claim he has a room. But my mom's like, no, this is your room. And he's like, that's not my room. And I don't know whose side to be on because he's my brother. So I'm on his side. But also I'm just like, that's a room, buddy. Take that room. Take that room because you can put stuff in that room. You have a closet, you had all this space. And maybe it's just because I live in LA, but like space, if you have another room, like that's free store, They sent the stuff in the basement back to him, but if it's in your room and you're like, oh, that's in my room, that's for when I'm there. That's the loophole, everybody. If you're offered a room, take the room, put stuff in it, be like, that's for when I visit. These are the clothes for when I visit. You want me to get rid of these clothes? These are the clothes for when I visit. How can I get rid of these clothes? So my older brother is good at getting rid of clothes, and I know that because he gives them to me, which when I was a kid, that's like a cool thing. And now it's not cool now. It's just, I don't need old stuff that I didn't pick out, I guess. And it's an honor, but it's also like, I'm not growing in, like we're not the same size anymore. And there's no future of me getting to that size. Like, I'm just this size. Hopefully, maybe, but I'm not it's not like when I'm a year from now, this is going to fit perfectly. And I saw my brother wear it to school and look really cool. He had this really cool Coca-Cola shirt when he was in like 5th grade. And I remember when I got to wear that. When you're a little brother, a little sibling, a younger sibling, and this is something for the older siblings out there. This isn't even parenting related. If you're an older sibling and you have something that you are you're cool. You're cool already to your younger siblings, even if you're not to the people in your grade or your life. Like you're cool, even if they don't admit it. You're cool, and you have a shirt, and you give that to your younger sibling. You pass it on. When they wear it, they're gonna feel like $1,000,000. Back when $1,000,000 was like $1,000,000,000,000. Like I remember wearing that Coca-Cola shirt. I only got to wear it like a couple times. I don't know. Maybe it was like too cool. And my mom was like, "Back off, buddy." I think that was back when I was in a school where I had uniforms, so I didn't. And then I got lost in the move. I don't know. I don't know. It said "Enjoy Coca-Cola." It was black. It was like with white in the middle, and it was like a rugby style shirt. It was like a collar. Remember those? I remember. I didn't know that what rugby was back then, but they had jerseys. They have jerseys, and they look like a lot of shirts I wore to grade school. And then I got to middle school, and they're like, "Oh, it's a rugby shirt." I'm like, I just like the different colors or whatever, except for that Coca-Cola shirt. It was so cool. I remember one time I got to stay in my brother's room because there was like company or whatever, and I had a air mattress, and I forget where he was or what. I don't know what was going on, but I felt like so cool. So that's the thing. Older siblings out there, if you're feeling a little down, just imagine being the person who looks up to you, and then you get to be you. See your life through your younger siblings' eyes. And I guarantee it'll lighten your day a little bit. My older brother he had like the coolest music too, because like we moved around a little bit at ages that were like kind of developmental for him. So my parents were like really lenient. Like my younger brother had Nimrod from Green Day, the CD, and my mom like confiscated it. She took it away. I bet if you look it up, I don't know if it's on the 500 greatest. Josh Adam Myers has a podcast where they go to the 500 greatest albums. That's a cross promotion on the podcast it wasn't even planned. But shout out to that. That's a very successful thing. But Green Day, I'm sure, is on there somewhere. Nimrod was the first one that really hit. It slapped, as the kids would say. And I don't know if I can say that because I'm not young, but I feel like people my age say it, and then we like pretend we know what it means. I was watching TikTok the other day. It was shout out for TikTok coming back. It was gone so short. It was like TikTok was like the kid in school that says he's moving for attention or whatever, and then he never moves. And you're like, or maybe it's just like the weekend and he doesn't hang out, and then it's like, oh, we don't miss you. You never, why are you, we moved on. You ever have like a meeting, like a business meeting or something that goes really well or decent, like pretty good. And everyone says goodbye, and then you leave something there, like someone that's trying to date them. Not on purpose. It just happens. Like, well, a wallet fell out of my pocket one time at a business meeting. I don't know. I had a manager, and he was really good, and it's a really good company, and they had their own like floor on a building in Beverly Hills, and it was like a really positive meeting. And my wallet fell out of my pocket. That's how positive it was. I was like, I don't even care about money. This wallet's gone, and I went back in, and that's when I had to realize that they'd moved on with their like they weren't basking in the glory of the meeting as much as I was, and it was not very fun at all. And I feel like that's what TikTok saw. I don't know. I personally love TikTok, but I don't know all the things. Like I don't know the threats or the non-threats or the made up. I wish there was some TikToks on it. I'm sure I just could type it in. That's what I love about it. It's like it takes what I like, and it just keeps showing me more of it, which is like the new cable. Really, like, I don't have to think. I like this. I didn't even have to hit like. I just watched it for a long time. The lives are awesome. I like watching people play video games live because I'm like, oh, they have a life, and they're choosing not to use it. That's not nice. I'm saying that like I would love to play video games as much as somebody that just gets to play. Not even because I feel like the new ones, that's like a job, And I guess the old ones can be too. But when I watch the old ones, I'm like, oh, they're still doing this. Like I love playing the old ones. I just got back into it again. The original Nintendo games, it's so fun. If the controller feels like it's like there's no electricity at all. Like it feels like it was invented when things were just like pinball times, I guess there's electricity in pinball, but like it just feels like you press the button and some things happen and then things happen, and it's so nice. It's light. It's smooth. It's so smooth. I feel like that's what it is, and so I get it. I love it. But the people that are really good at it, I'm like, oh, they've been good for like 40 years. No, not that long, but like 30 years. They've been amazing at Nintendo, and I guess that's what comedy is like, But I got new jokes. I don't know. So what was I talking about? TikTok was gone so fast, and it came back. It's like CapCut is the thing. That's a great editing thing. But maybe I'm giving everybody. I never clicked the thing on TikTok. I don't know if there's one on TikTok, but you remember when on Instagram there's that thing going around where like you got to click this thing, so it doesn't use what you do to create an AI version of a person of you, I guess, which I don't want them to do that. I don't want them to take my jokes and make more jokes out of it. I like I would want to get paid for that or whatever, but also I don't not want it to happen enough to search the settings longer than I did to not find it and be like, this is probably a lie. Like Instagram has done so much for me to appear like I have a career that I'm just kind of in a tough spot where I'm like, I'm going to keep posting and I can't find this AI thing. So, I don't like the negativity around it either. There's just like this fear. There's like this fear of like, they're going to take our stuff and do it. Which it's like, yeah, take it. I don't want anybody to take it. I would love for you to watch my special, and I mean, there's no really way to pay me for it, but you can listen to it on a streamer or like if I put ads in it, and that's a way. But like, there is a freedom as a comic to be like, I feel like if I look over here, does it look like I'm trying to look at the green light? Do you feel it? Green light? I'm trying to have a connection with a green light on my phone. Hi, green light. Hi, Dad. I've been a dad for a while. I've been talking to Jack all day. I refer to myself as Dad when I'm with Jack, which you can't do around other people. You got to shift. Like Wednesday, I have not a business meeting, but a meeting with a friend. And I got to remember to shift, because it's like I think people would understand. But if you're with a kid all day and you're referring to yourself as Dad in the third person, because what else are you going to do? You've been on 5 hours of sleep, whatever. We're going to talk about me as if I'm the third person. I woke up super early. I get to be a third person. I feel like I'm not in my body right now, so we get to be a third person. That's what we get to do. I'm the third person, and I'm referring to myself that way. But then you go out in the world, and you're talking to someone who you're not the dad of, and you're like, I don't know, you're eating a meal, and take a bite of your steak or whatever. I'm ordering steak if I'm going out. Get out of here, guys. And I don't know what to do. That's separate. But like, and then you tell like, wow, Dad made a good order. That's not. You can't. I guess what I'm saying is that I've talked about it. I guess like that's a separate thing. But I'll talk about it now too. Like when I've decided I'm gonna meet people. Because I think that's a decision as a parent. Because if you want, like, I spent so much time around my kid. That or on the road working, that it's a choice, really. And I know it's a choice because my therapist told me to make that choice, and then I stopped talking to her, and my mom told me to start making that choice, and which is cool. That's a big step for my mom to tell me I should meet people, because like when I was in middle school, I remember girls called my house, which is like, to get a girl to call you unsolicited, it's just like, how often does that happen, right? I'm not a guy. Like my younger brother would get just phone numbers thrown at him. Like he would get people. We were on a train one time into the city for the Taste of Chicago. My cousins were there, my mom, my dad, and a girl just came up to him and gave him her number, and my mom later was like, I was right there. Not, which is the way I said it made it sound like she wanted the number, but it was like, she was like in front of his mother. Well, it's like, well, she's getting off there, This is before online dating. What's she going to do? Find him? She shot her shot. She got out there. And I always feel like that's a tough thing that should be more appreciated, like, or more openness around making advances to random people. But like polite, normal, from what I've seen, I would like to look at you more. I guess that's what it's like when you give. I've never given any. Well, maybe like when you're on the road. Now I'm making excuses, but there was one time, a long time. I don't think I did it though. I thought about this is crazy. This is a not psychotic, but like when on the road a lot, you can react different ways to being alone. And I remember being at a restaurant one time, and the server was really nice, and I considered like trying to figure out a way to like talk to her more. And I thought about putting my number on a card, but I didn't. I don't think I did that. I thought about it. I definitely didn't, because she would have called. Like, no, but anyways, in middle school, I got an unsolicited phone call. And maybe this didn't happen, but this is what my friends told me it happened. My friends they were just friends. But it's like middle school friends, that's all you have. So I guess some people were dating. But I think you can all hear me. This is such a nice mic. I'm so chill right now, but you can still hear it. Get out of town. No, stay here. Keep listening. And it was a group of female, and like a very developmental. No, that's not formative year. Called my mom before people were going to parties, but when people were having thoughts and feelings about one another, they called my house to talk to me. This is what I was told. And my mom denies it. And I believe everybody. I believe both people are right somehow. I just believe someone didn't remember or whatever. But they asked to talk to Mike, because when you're growing up as a man, when people ask you your name, and this is as a boy too, it feels weird to say I always feel, and I shouldn't say like everybody's like this, but I felt weird saying my whole name to people when I met them. And when I was in 5th grade, I went to the Catholic elementary school, and then there weren't enough kids to have a 6th grade, which my older brother and younger brother both had 6th grades at the Catholic school, and I'm sure it was great. But I loved my sixth grade at the middle school, because it was like the closest I ever came to being like the young, scared 6th graders. Like, there were kids in 8th grade at the public school that were, 16. They were like, not that fights are cool, but it was like there were fights, and there was like dodgeball was scary. Like, we played dodgeball at lunch with 16-year-olds, and I was in 6th grade. And like, these kids were like, there's one kid that was just huge. And these were kids that, and not for anything, but like, if you play a sport and you have this athletic ability, you use that and you grow, and it's like part of your life. But maybe you're not as passionate. But the kids that were best at dodgeball were the ones that they didn't they didn't believe in playing. They never had the guidance, or maybe just didn't care. They just didn't play any sports, but they would just whip the ball at 6th graders' heads because it wasn't against the rules. And you would hear the ball smack against the wooden bleachers, and it was just like such a rough, like I could die. I know it sounds, there's like a freaks and geeks about it, but not against like older kid at lunch. Like, this is our break. Like, we got a break in middle school, 6th to 8th grade, for lunch. Go to the gym, you shoot baskets, but then there was also dodgeball for a little while, but it wasn't for a long time, because there would always be like a kid that got, like, one kid got a black eye, and that was thrown by someone that was nice. The other kids had stuff they were working out. They were working out stuff with that ball, and you had no face to them. They were going to throw that ball at that. And I never died or got really injured, but it's super exciting looking back to be in such a place where there was so little rules on purpose. Like, there was observation and teachers there, and they were like, this is the most organized and safe we can make it. And that was a special time for me. So I didn't get to do. So that was fun too. So I met a lot of new people in 6th grade, because it was like all the elementary schools came together. And I don't know how I feel about it now, because my son, he'll be in 6th grade eventually, not tomorrow, but like he'll be in a middle school, or there's also the schools that go all the way through 8th grade, because we live in a big city, and the Catholic schools. And I don't know what to do, because I really liked my public school experience, but I liked my Catholic school experience too. But anyways, I'm in this new school, get call from these girls. I'm sure they're like, that's their slumber party thing, calling a boy. I don't know. I'm giving myself too much credit. But they said they called and they asked for Mike because when you introduce yourself to people, you use your shortened name. I did because I felt like if they asked what my name was and I said my name is Michael, to me it just sounds like my name is Michael. My name is Michael. Michael. Say the whole thing because I am so elegant. I was just like, I'm Mike. And I wasn't Mike. I was always Michael. But that's just what I was like. I'm not going to ask anything of the new people. I'm not going to give anybody anything to make fun of me. There's enough stuff out there already. I'm not going to create a Michael problem. So I was Michael until 5th grade. And then 6th through 12th, I was Mike. And then college, I had some people that would call me Michael, but mostly Mike. And then I became a comedian, and they would ask you what to say. And I felt like then I could say Michael. So that's a journey I didn't expect to talk about today. But anyways, those girls asked to talk to Mike, and my mom didn't want me to ever be called Mike. Her brother was a Mike, and she just thought that Michael was a better name, and she was upset that one got shortened, but that's just her brother. What can she do? So she just said, from what I was told, she said no, because that wasn't my name, and she hung up. And I probably was there, because what was I doing? Where did I go? Nowhere. 6th grade. Who did anything? Not me. 7th grade. Maybe it was 7th grade. And that was the end. That was the last time I got a call from a girl that I hadn't pursued previously. Anyway, I don't know what that was about. I had a crazy day. That's for sure. That day, but also this day. This day was crazy. That day was crazy. And we haven't even gotten into it yet. TikTok's gone. I moved a couple times growing up, but just one time in school and in 2nd grade. And I really moved too. It was Valentine's Day. I was my last day of school. I didn't pick that day. My parents picked it. And if you're gonna move on a day, that's gonna be the fake day. I feel like, even in 2nd grade, because I told my friends, I don't remember any of them. I don't remember what they called me. Probably Michael. But I think someone said like they didn't believe it. And then I was just gone. And there was no internet. And then I was just gone. Who knows what they went through? I haven't met any of them since. I mean, I was only 7. I haven't talked to any of them since that I went to school with for 3 years, maybe 4. Man, what hole is in their life now, I don't know. That's one of the reasons I became a comedian, actually. I don't know. It was what I told myself. Because, like, when you're a kid and when you're 7, in 2nd grade, and then 8 in 3rd grade, and then 9 in 4th grade, that's not going to be the rest of the podcast. It's me just talking about the ages I was at different times. But, like, especially, like, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, you move, right? And then the majority of your life was in another place with different kids. And so, like, that seems important. And now it doesn't. But I felt like when I wanted to be an actor or a writer or a comedian, I felt like, but this is before the internet. I could do something that they could see, and that could be me being like, "Hi guys," and then they could be like, "Hi," and they could be like, we remember him. He said he was moving on Valentine's Day. No one believed him. I don't know. I think it'd be fun to meet people that I knew back then. And, it would make my life complete, but maybe I would just be like, all right, stand-up's done now. I met those people. I don't know how I meet them. I guess I could look them up. That's probably a way to do it. Yeah. I answered that question. All right. We're getting into it. We're well into episode 46. This is I just got my kid to sleep podcast, and I did get my kid to sleep today. He's there. I was with my parents last week. That's where this whole thing kind of started. And I thought I didn't think I was going to get stuff done. There was an instinct moment where I was going to be like, I might get stuff done. And I was like, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to enjoy the life that I have there. And I thought about coming home, even though there were fires, because that's how much my floor is toys and clothes. I was like, I just got to clean this up, you know? I just need some time. Everyone's out of town. I can clean my apartment finally. And then I was like, but it might burn to the ground. And then it's like, I spent all this time cleaning, you know, but it didn't burn to the ground. It's still there, especially when I do the podcast, because I moved some stuff for my podcast. This just isn't my bathroom. It is my bathroom. I used to try to hide it, but it just is, you know, it is. This is Mike's bathroom. So I got to move some stuff. There's a whole situation going on here. And my kitchen's pretty clean. Yesterday I watched the Bills Ravens game on my phone, and that's really easy to do while you clean kitchen stuff, because I can put it up and just like fast forward during commercials and clean up. So there's clean stuff that needs to be clean. I guess bathrooms need to be clean. There's no reason to talk about all that stuff. But I ended up going to Chicago because I was like, I'm working in the Midwest, and I don't see a reason to fly into a natural disaster. And I spent like weeks in a row with my son, which when you're a parent, that doesn't seem like a lot. But when you're, more of a single parent, that's a lot, one-on-one. Oh man, I'm not talking that loud, but my neighbor, I can hear them walking. I'm very sensitive to this. If you go back to old episodes of the podcast, I had neighbors that, well, they never complain about the podcast. I was like not flying into a natural disaster. But then I did Sunday. It was a natural disaster still. The fire is burning. I didn't start it. I don't think anybody thought I did. And I'm safe. I'm in the middle of all of it, but I listened to an air quality thing, and it was one of those health things where you listen to it and you're like, I think knowing this is making it worse. Cause like they would be like, people would ask questions in the Zoom questions or whatever about like how far should we be away from it? And everyone on the thing was just like, I don't know, the wind, as far away as the wind can travel. And it's like, oh, okay. So we're back and I'm okay. I keep the doors closed and the air is off. It's, it gets a little chilly at night, but the windows are closed, so it's not too chilly. And it's really great to see my kid. He warms my heart. And we had a whole day. I didn't even get into it yet, my whole day today. But anyways, last week when I was in Chicago, I was like, I'm not doing anything. And then I didn't do anything. My parents have an Apple TV and they don't know how to use it. So Monday, I was watching the Rams play the Cardinals, or not the Cardinals. Their first playoff game was against the Vikings, and they won. And with my dad, and then my mom was like, "Well, let's watch a show," and they pull up their recorded episodes, right? They have cable still, which cable's great, but streaming is better quality. I think cable's quicker. They know how to use cable. And it was like a lot of crime shows. And my parents are pretty much like not super into violence or whatever, but that's what they get. Because the comedy sometimes can be too, I don't know. My parents are so weird like that. Like my mom is all about not wanting to hear like vulgar language or topics talked about in a way that's offensive to her. But then when something like that comes out, she's like, that's just too slapsticky. And I'm just like, well, you're giving the world nothing to offer you. Like Napoleon Dynamite came out. That's made by like, I think maybe Mormon. I don't know. But it was super clean. It's the cleanest movie and it was super funny. And they're like, it's just kind of weird. I'm like, well, what are you going to get? You don't let people swear. You don't want people to talk about sex. And you don't want to, but also you don't want to see people be funny in a different way. Like you're narrowing the box that people can live in for you comedically. So they don't watch a lot of comedies. And when they do, they usually complain. Now, I shouldn't say they or usually. I appreciate them listening if they are. But like there are complaints sometimes about like, the language wasn't there or whatever. Not anymore. They're older, I guess. But what I wish there was this is what I would Google. I Googled it. Like you can't Google a show and find out if it's appropriate to watch with your parents. And that's what I wish existed. I don't think I talked about that last week. I wish there was a way, like PG is parental guidance for kids, but what about PG? There's parents in my room watching this with me, and I'm an adult, so I can do whatever I want, but it's going to be weird. Is it going to be weird? Is there going to be nudity and things that I don't like? I feel like that's the biggest thing. But also, I don't love all the violence in these. But it's just like, I just want to know. And whenever we were streaming stuff, and whenever I saw nudity and like I was just like, I got to think of something to talk about when that happens. And I can't watch it with my parents. I don't want to watch it with anybody. I don't know why it wasn't gratuitous. We watched a really good show. It was called Blind Monkey, and it's on Apple TV. Bill Lawrence is the executive producer, and he did Scrubs, and there's a little Scrubs surprise in it, I'll say. And it's a comedy drama, which I figured would be perfect for my parents because they loved Only Murders in the Building, which is also comedically dramatic or dramatically comedic. Or I don't think I said that right at all. I think it's just both comedy and drama. And they love crimes and seen them solved. And Vince Vaughn is very funny and lighthearted throughout the whole thing, and not a lot of nudity. So I also feel like, and maybe you don't relate to this, but you might. I feel like when I bring a show to a group, I feel like I'm responsible for it, and like the content, and I'm not. I didn't make it. Yeah, I didn't watch this whole show and then be like, let's watch this again with my mom and dad. Like, that is insane. Who has that kind of time? So I know, and then I know they don't expect that of me, but I was sensitive to it because I want to enjoy the show, but I want them to enjoy it. I don't want to be like worrying about what they're seeing. So, but they loved it and I loved it. And I eventually calmed down a little bit, but they don't know how to use Apple TV, and I did. So we watched. They knew I was home for a couple of days, so we finished the whole show. It was one season so far, but it was so fun, and I feel like it was supposed to be a sadder ending, but it wasn't. And we went to the gym almost every day, and they would walk and I would run, and you know how you do with your parents. And I would shoot baskets. I played my dad in one-on-one. I won, and he's in the 70s. So but he's retired, so he should have time to work on his game. So what are we doing? That's where we're at. I went to the emergency room today. That's separate. That's a separate thing. I got a little thing on here. I don't know. I didn't want to show any personal information. I got my wristband on still. That's the good thing about podcasts. Like, you might think like, oh, I got to take this off. And like, no, I can use this. It says I went to the hospital, but it doesn't really. It just says my name, Michael. It says Palisak, comma Michael, because that's what I said it was. But then underneath it, it says alias, and then a number, which I don't know if that means the number is my alias. I tried to. Oh, I didn't show any personal information. I don't think I did. It's kind of marked off. I don't want to do it again and then see if I gave it away. But I don't. That's not like a ticket to anything. But it says alias, like Michael Palisak is just my name for this hospitalized situation. Like he might have made that up. He's just going by Michael Palisak because he has this thing. So I went to the emergency room, and I'm fine. I'm fine because I got out. I got out the same day, a couple hours later. And what happened was my son and his mom, they went to Orange County last week, and the Disneyland is having like a thing where you can bring your kid for pretty cheap right now. And so they went, but they had to use all the days in like a week or whatever. And so she's like, you can take a Monday, which I don't. It's nice of her to think of me, but I just feel this pressure, and I don't like people planning my days, And I didn't realize till I was in the emergency room, I was like, oh, I don't think I really wanted to go, because I was enjoying the emergency room in different ways, more than I was enjoying my time at that park. And I do love the park, but I was just like, I got in early yesterday, and that was my day where I was going to be tired, and I couldn't do 2 days in a row like that. And I was. Or if I was going to do it, I needed to pick it out myself. But I went, and I had a turkey leg, and we were waiting in line, and I was like, well, I'll eat in line. And I was giving little pieces to Jack, and he was eating that turkey. And that was like such a big win because he doesn't know that turkey. I was just like, this is meat, because he knows what a turkey is, but he doesn't want to think he's eating animals. He doesn't know that yet. And if you want to know how that turns out in a stand-up comedy show, watch He's Friendly on YouTube. And near the end, the last 10 minutes, I talk about how to handle or not handle your child not knowing what meat is. So I felt really good about that. And we got in line, and then he was done with the turkey because he had a churro, and then I just took like a big bite of this turkey leg, and I don't even look back and be like, oh, I could have done this differently. That's just what happened. I could have not eaten any more, or I could have taken this big bite. And I took the big bite, and it was in my mouth, and I didn't think to spit it out because I was super hungry, and I swallowed it, and it just stayed like right here, and I didn't choke, like I could breathe, but it got stuck, and I couldn't drink or eat or swallow any, including saliva. It just all kept coming up. This is gonna get gross, so if you're done, you're done. And I'm all better now. I think I am. So I was in line, and we were on the Ferris wheel line, and I was like, oh, I could die up there, you know? Like I didn't know really what it was for sure. I thought I knew what it was, but I was like, I could choke and die, you know? Because if you've ever had that happen, it feels like you're choking, but you can breathe. And one time I just tried to drink a lot of water to have it go down, and then I like literally drowned myself. Like the water came up, and I had to have my dad give me the Heimlich in the middle of the night. I was very grateful I lived there at the time. So it's usually when I'm eating, I'm doing something else. So I was like, well, this sucks, you know? And so I was like, we gotta leave the line. And then we tried, and I just started like, this is gross, but I think it's important, spitting up all the things I'd swallowed, which was mostly just saliva at the time, because I stopped eating after that. I wasn't like, well, let's keep. And Jack wanted to go on the ride, but I was like, I'm not gonna die for a Ferris wheel, you know? Maybe if you wanted to go on the cool like Guardians of the Galaxy, that no. Um, but eventually we're like, I'm like, I'll get some medicine, you know, Prilosec usually helps it. And so I went to first aid, and they're like, you gotta order it through DoorDash. And then I was like, I called my doctor, and they weren't there, but there was a video person I could video with. I talked to the computer for a while, and the computer diagnosed it perfectly. And then I talked to the doctor, and they're like, oh, you should go to the emergency room, and you probably shouldn't drive. So I got to ride an ambulance, which is really cool. I didn't think that I was going to ride an ambulance, because it's like weird to have like one thing wrong with you and be like, everybody get out of the way, you know? Like I could die when I really didn't think I was even close to dying. They were like, because I was like throwing up all the time or gagging. They're like, if you do that while you're driving, you could lose control of the car or whatever. So, this is a lot of information. I just want to keep everybody updated. I haven't even told my parents yet. This is how much I love my podcast. My emergency contacts don't even know. It's pretty much just Jack and someone I texted that lived in the area at one point to see if they're around to watch Jack in case I had to get sedated, which was interesting, to have like an acquaintance, you know, to reach out to them and be like, hey, are you in this area still? And they're like, no, you have a show? And I was like, no. And they're like, what is it? And I was like, oh, you know, I might have to be sedated. And then they're like, well, at least you're a comedian, because then you can talk about it. Is that too soon? This is literally not even, no time has passed. I haven't even talked about it on my podcast yet. That is definitely too soon, just in the logistics of things. So anyway, I get the ambulance ride, which I kind of feel bad enjoying, because a part of me was like, oh, maybe someone's like really hurt. But I did gag a lot on the ride, not on purpose. It just happened. So I was like, oh, they think I should be here, you know? And because basically it's like, I guess you have saliva going down all the time, and it was just like coming up. I don't know why I needed to use that detail right there, but I went to the first aid place at Disney first, and they don't want anybody to die there. That's bad for everybody. So they were like, well, you know, you can, we have, you know, for people that can come take you to the hospital. But I wanted to go to the good hospital. You know, if you ever know anything about hospitals, and I know a couple things, is like, there's the one that everyone thinks is like, that's probably better. So I was like, and they said in the list that they couldn't tell you which one was the best, but I was like, come on, which one? And so I went to UCI, and I think it was really good. But at first they were like, well, you can take an Uber. And I was like, well, I got a kid, you know, they need a car seat and stuff. And I'm pretty sure an ambulance, I don't know if they have a car seat, but it's probably like safe, you know? So, and I was like, is it expensive? And I knew it was, but also I have insurance, which is there's a lot of positives here. This happened in January, right? I'm filling up that deductible right away. I can live very dangerously for the next 11 months. I probably shouldn't say that in case my insurance people are watching, but, I think I filled it up, you know? So anyways, I'm like, let's just do the ambulance, you know? It's pretty good. And they were really nice. I kind of felt like I didn't need 4 guys, you know? But I explained that to them. I was like, I just was told by my doctor that I shouldn't drive because, it's not safe, especially with my kid, which I'm kind of tired of people being like, because you're a kid. What about me? I'm driving, What if I lose control of the car and it's just me? Is that not bad? So we get to the hospital and they take me in the emergency way. There's a back way out of Disneyland too. So it's not like they had to like come be like, oh, wow, he passed out on the Ferris wheel. No one even knew. And the lady even said I might get to come back for free the next time because we had to leave early. And I was like, oh, that's very nice. She's like, I know you got the discount, but that still counts. I'm like, all right, who's judging how much I paid for this thing right now? You know? So we're at the hospital, and then I realized why I kind of enjoyed it more because we get in there and they're pretty busy. That's the go-to hospital, right? So we're just in a hallway, but I already feel safer than I did on the bench waiting for the Uber to drop off or the DoorDash to drop off my medicine, which didn't stay down. Did I say that I waited a little bit? Anyways, so we're in the hallway, and Jack's the best, right? And he's playing. He got to do a lot of good for him too. He killed my phone. I probably shouldn't use kill when I'm talking about hospital. He was like, he played so much on my phone because I was like, in this situation, this is what screens are for, because he's like doing dances in the hospital, like spinning more like getting dizzy. I think he felt like he didn't want me to be the only one that had a malady. So he was just spinning around trying to get dizzy. And I could tell like that the EMTs didn't want to be like telling him what to do. So I was just like, oh, you should sit down. Here's my phone. And everyone was like, that's a good idea. And, he played the Wild Crap Brothers on PBS Kids. So he's learning, I think. I don't know. And so we go, and finally the nurse sees me or whatever. And I tell them when I get there, I'm like, I can go in the waiting room. Like I was just told not to drive. I'll live. I've gone through something like this before. It happened one other time. And I had to go to the hospital, and they just gave me medicine, and I was better. So they don't say that, but then they eventually I just end up in the waiting room, and that's when I saw all the people, and I was like, I shouldn't have said that. But I get in the waiting room and the game's on, and that's all. I was like, oh, that's why I want to do this instead, because it's Notre Dame, Ohio State for the national championship, but two teams I rooted for as a child. Maybe it's not as much now because of different things, but it was super fun to watch. And my brother played at Miami of Ohio. I support them more than anybody, but it was super fun. I was like, oh, this is why I'm here. This is why I was choked, because I get to watch this game. And it was already, Ohio State already kind of had it. It was like in the second half, but Notre Dame came back. They're fighting Irish, and I was in the waiting room, and it was the Pat McAfee broadcast, which is fine, but I really like the traditional. I can listen to a podcast anytime, right? So it was almost like right as I thought that's when I started like throwing up again. They gave me a bag, and I was filling up. This is like these bags that where like the plastic bag comes out of it, and I filled it up, with, it's all just like water. It's not gross, but it's kind of gross. It's like when I looked at it, I was like, oh, a fish could live in here, a little goldfish. Anyway, I was like hacking every 5 minutes, and that's the quickest way to get out of the waiting room, because people were just like moving away from me. They invented a room to get me out of the waiting room because I was throwing up every couple minutes, because it was just select, but it sounded like I was like, when maybe you don't, but like if you ever drink for the first time heavily and you don't really, then you throw up and you kind of run out of things to throw up. It's like that dry heaves, I guess. But I had stuff. It would just sound really bad. So the lady comes out and she's like, we're going to make a room for you. So she made a room for me. And then they found out what sort of happened. And then the doctor saw me, and then they prescribed some medication. And I was like, I told them the medication that worked before, and they didn't do that one and at first I was like, oh, this might not work. And I think I was kind of right. But I wrote some thoughts here. I'll get to that. But then I get to I get a real room, and the game's on like the traditional broadcast. I'm like, well, I just manifested that, and then they give me an IV, and I'm like, this, I thought it was helping, but then they didn't even put the medicine yet, and I was like, well, they shouldn't have told me that. So it wasn't helping. I was still like hacking, I was like coming up, and I'm like, when it was so painful, and but not in like a dead way, but like in a painful way. And my son's there, and he's super nice. He's sitting next to me, and I'm just like, we can't let this phone die. We got to find someone in case they have to sedate me. And then they come in, and they check on me, and like, it's very clear that this is like the triage. This is like emergency room, but I'm the loudest one there, and I feel like I look healthy. So they're like checking in. The doctor comes back in. They're like, I don't know, because they might have to like scope it. They might just like put me under a little bit, call someone in. And she was really nice. And I was like, we'll do. I have to do it now. And she's like, you're not gonna be able to sleep with that tonight. So she was like, we're gonna try one more thing. I was like, all right. And she was like, I was probably thrown up at the time. I don't know if I said all right. I don't know why I need to say that. But she was like, well, I'm gonna bring in some Coke, and we're gonna give you more medicine, and you're gonna drink some Coke, and the carbonation might help go down. Flashback to when I first had that turkey leg. I was gonna buy a Coke, but I was like, you know what? I'm not super tired right now. I'll save it till later. And then flash forward a little bit, but not all the way, to when I went to first date at Disneyland. The lady was like, maybe she has some Sprite because of the carbonation. And I was like, I don't trust anything right now. So this is my last chance. I'm in the hospital. They're telling me to drink Coke, and they take a little while to bring it in. So I kind of like thrown up a couple more times, and they bring it in, and it's just a can. It's a beautiful red can, and they open it for me, and then I just drink a little bit. It's probably gonna come right back up, and I take one drink, and I could feel whatever was in there just go down, and I was like, it's better, and it was gone. No more problems. They're like, don't give him any more medication. I sat there for a little while longer. I drank more Coke. She took it away from me because I was drinking so much of it, and I won't say it saved my life, but it was nice, and that's, I guess, my lesson is that like I should drink more Coke. That's it. What's boots? This kid might start fire. Oh, the fire department guys all had on boots, and I was like, oh, you guys all have the same boots, and they're the EMT guys. And one guy was like, well, these two are just normal ones, and this one has fire protection on it, and which is kind of nice, to know that like one of them heard what happened, and he's like, this kid might start a fire. They asked me how much I weighed, and it was a weird, because as I said how much I weighed to the EMT, I went through all of how much I've weighed in my life. I was like 195, because I was like, well, I weighed 175 in college, and then 185 when I was older, and then now I was like, I just weighed myself as 198. So I was like, I went down because I had been, hacking up so much stuff, I figured. But then I told them that. Hospital visit. I don't know why they call it a hospital visit. Like, visit is sort of like, hi everybody, hi, oh, we love you. This is like the most. I'm a patient, They told me that I was might get sedated because if they have to go in, I have to get sedated, and that's when I was like, oh, I should probably get somebody because Jack's here, and that's when I started reaching out to people. But deep down, I was like, I think I might be a better parent when I'm sedated, right? Just take the edge off a little bit. But they didn't have to, so no worries. But that's it. I'm safe. I'm healthy. The doctor looked at me and they're like, you need to see this doctor and this doctor and this doctor. And I was like, I got Coke. What do I need from anybody? But we got it in. That's what happened today and all the other stuff that happened before. So thanks for listening. This is episode 45. I don't like talking about hospital visits, but I thought of stuff. Episode 46 of I Just Got My Kid to Sleep just happened. Yeah. That's the song. That's my closing song today. Woody, thank you for listening. I love you. Goodbye.